I love the stories and the drama that are found in the Bible, and I also enjoy Shakespeare's drama. Both of them, the Bible and Shakespeare, explore humanity through royalty, power, prophecy, jealousy, violence, and really just all the conflicted feelings and emotions that we as humans experience. The question would be for, I guess, a PhD thesis is how much of the Bible influenced Shakespeare in writing his dramas. But that's for another time. But I do want to do a little bit of comparative literature, exploring the idea of oracle and prophecy, and how often having a prophecy about what's going to happen in your life and the life about those around you can lead to poor choices and sort of just being hyper-focused on making sure that that prophecy occurs literally and not really looking at the world around and just letting events unfold. I'm thinking about the stories of King Saul, Macbeth, and then bring in this week's Torah portion, the oracle that Rebecca gets, that Jacob is going to be the one to overtake the older, by just a moment, Esau. So we begin with the story of Saul, which we read in the springtime around Purim, because it has to do with Amalek. Samuel is the prophet at the time and tells this first king of Israel, who is supposed to be there to protect Israel, to go and literally commit a complete genocide on Amalek. We'll leave that aside for now. And Saul does that, except they spare the animals, which when it comes to this sort of complete ban, this cherem is not allowed. I invite you to rise and share the name of the person that you're listening to. God, through Samuel, is upset at Saul for not fully obeying. And Saul, of course, has an excuse. Oh, we're going to use the animals to sacrifice to God. And it's hard to sort of say why he spared Agag. But Samuel says, no, you did not follow the letter of the law, and now the kingship is going to be torn from you. Saul could have accepted his punishment and kind of been a good, proper, lame duck king and continued to protect Israel and to overtake the Philistines, which he would have been able to do. But instead, this prophecy literally makes him go mad, especially when he hears that David is going to be the one to take over for him. He starts to be paranoid about David, and his own son Jonathan even turns on Saul. The prophecy, the call, the oracle that Saul is only going to be one king and his son is not going to take over drives him mad. Enter into the story of Macbeth. Many of us perhaps read it in high school. My girls are reading it right now. It opens up with the witches brew and the cauldron brew and cauldron bubble, and they predict that Macbeth is going to become king. And we know that that causes Lady Macbeth to want to push things forward, and so convinces Macbeth to kill the king. He becomes king, but both of them, both Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, learn to regret their actions, because the witches have another prediction that this is going to end. And so instead of enjoying his kingship, his reign, he is now obsessed with who is going to get him and starts literally a reign of terror. Our Parsha, Rebecca has these twins fighting in the womb. She can't take it anymore, so she telech lidrosh Adonai. She literally goes to hear from God. This is the first time that we hear that you can go and ask a question from God, and God responds and says, you have two nations in your womb. One will overtake the other. The older will serve the younger. And she has this in her mind as she starts to favorite Jacob. Does that cause Isaac to favorite Esau? We don't know. And then obviously we have the stealing of the blessing, which just enrages Esau even more. He becomes a rebellious child, marrying people that they don't like, his parents don't like, and then in the end of the parsha, literally threatening the life of his twin brother. Could life have been different? We want to know, could Saul have been more patient? Could Macbeth have been more patient? Accept that he would be king. Yes, that Banquo's descendants would be king after him, and that a reign of terror is much better. A reign of terror is not as good as one that is just a reign of accepting your leadership. And could have Rebekah found a way to talk even to her own husband, Isaac, to say, here's how we're going to allow the blessing to go to Jacob. Because also in the end, Isaac has enough blessing for Esau. Esau comes crying to him and says, where is my blessing too? On Rosh Hashanah, I spoke how blessing is not a zero-sum game. Power doesn't need to be a zero-sum game. You don't have a winner and a loser often. We can all be winners. We can all have blessings. Whether we believe that God talks to us and gives us prophecies and oracles today, often we have our own plans for ourselves. Unfortunately, sometimes we have our plans and images of what our children are going to do. And sometimes that really colors how we live our life, and we kind of find ourselves pigeonholing ourselves into our vision of ourselves, and also stifling perhaps how our children live their life. I think the lessons of these oracles, of Saul, of Macbeth, and even of Rebekah and Isaac, is that yes, we can have in mind ideas of what we want to be, how we want life to turn out, but sometimes we just have to go on the journey and try to really make the best choices for the moment, to check our emotions, not necessarily at the door, but to just check our emotions, do an emotional checkup and say, what am I feeling right now? And how am I going to respond? Because we always have a choice how we respond, and making sure that we respond the idea of kindness and justice, as the Haftorah says, not necessarily wanting power, jealousy, and certainly with our anger. Shabbat Shalom.